Hello and welcome back to my channel for another Plan With Me video. Today, of course, we are planning for the month of December, and my goal for this month was to only use very simple supplies or supplies that are easy to find. So this month I will only be using these 3 sets of Crayola pencils. As most of you probably know, I tend to avoid making a color theme in my bullet journal that is typical of a month. So in March I will avoid green, in April I will avoid pastels, and in December I usually avoid green and red. But I had already decided a couple weeks ago that I wanted to do a cactus theme. I enjoy drawing cactus and I haven't done it in a while, so I thought that would be fun to do. So for this theme I kind of accidentally ended up doing some green and red themes, which normally I will avoid so that way a theme can be used for any month, but I think it worked out well for this theme. And also, I didn't sketch anything out in advance. I am just kind of drawing things wherever I feel like as I'm doing it. So some of the pages turned out a little more chaotic than maybe I would normally want them to be, but I think it's also a really good practice to not always have to sketch everything out, especially if you are an artist or you do draw a lot. It can be very helpful sometimes to just allow yourself to be creative and not feel like you have a set plan. So while some of these pages didn't turn out maybe as perfect as I would have wanted, it was a lot of fun and very relaxing not to feel like I had to draw specific things in specific places. Since December is a kind of busy month, I decided to just make these 3 large sections. One is for events, one is for tasks, and the other one is blank so I can use it for whatever I end up needing it for. This just helps it be more of a simple cover page and easier to figure out where all of my tasks and events are, instead of it being covered with a bunch of trackers and things like that. As I mentioned earlier, every part of this theme is made using colored pencils, so on the headers especially you can tell quite a bit of a difference than my normal style. Usually I would use Tombow Funosuke brush pens, but for this I just use pencil on everything, so some of the colors are a little lighter and a little more transparent. You can really notice it on camera, but it is noticeable in person as well. Normally this wouldn't be a style that I necessarily love. I would usually rather just draw everything using a pencil, and then any writing or dividing lines I would still use a marker for. But for this theme I really wanted to show that you don't have to have fancy supplies. These are just pencils that you can find pretty much at any store, and they're not very expensive, and those are totally fine to use for your bullet journal or for your planner. You don't have to have super fancy supplies. Here you can see I'm doing all of my lettering of this quote just using pencils, and while the colors aren't as bold or standing out as much from the page, it does still work, and you can still create cute lettering and you can have cute writing even just using colored pencils. So I just wanted to mention that a little bit this month, because I know it can often be discouraging or make you feel like you're missing out on something when you see these really large creators on YouTube or Instagram who have all these cool supplies and like these super fancy markers, and you're like, oh cool, maybe if I go get those my writing will look better, and then you go to look for them and it's like a pack of 3 that's like $50, and you're like, what in the world, I cannot spend that much money on them. So just know you don't have to have super fancy or super expensive materials to still be able to create something beautiful and something that you enjoy looking at. Okay, sorry about all of that. I just felt like it was something that I needed to talk about a little bit this month. But now we're going to get back to the actual planning. So I know this is a fairly simple, straightforward kind of style, and I didn't plan anything ahead, so I just kind of drew where it seemed fun. I ended up deciding to put in these little blobs and dots and lines to create a little bit more color and texture to the theme. And otherwise, for the weekly spreads, I just kind of made boxes for the days where they seemed to fit and divided with some doodles or by coloring in the block with a very, very light color. And I really didn't have anything specific in mind while doing these. I just tried to give them somewhat equal amounts of space on the pages. Some days that I knew I had more going on, like certain Saturdays, I would give them a little bit larger square than I normally would. I often don't give Sunday or Saturday very large squares just because I don't do a whole lot on those days. But if I did have something planned, I would give them a little bit larger square. And I also used this decoration here to draw the attention to Christmas Eve, because of course it's Christmas Eve and that's exciting, and also there's no plans for that day really. Again, I kept things pretty simple and just tried to make sure that each of the days of the week had enough space on the pages. I also added in more blobby doodles and lines to just kind of add some more colors. I didn't want to add too many cactus drawings and take up too much space, so I mainly focused these pages on the blocks that have the days of the week. And I did mess up some of the numbers of the days. I don't know why. Obviously Saturday is the 24th because it's Christmas Eve, but I got all of the dates off by 1 on Tuesday through Friday, so I had to go back and fix that, so you can kind of tell I messed that up a bit. For the final spread for this theme, as well as this entire bullet journal, I decided to just make a simple page on the right hand side that has reflections, so this has some space to write down some thoughts about this past year, as well as some for the coming year. So there's a section for things to let go of, things to do more of, things that bring joy, and then there's some empty space where I can fill it in later. I just kept this overall really simple. The left hand side for the actual weekly spreads, I used the layout that has been a little more popular with me the last few months, where all of the days fit on one page, and Sunday and Saturday only take up 4 spaces vertically and the rest of the days take up 6. I don't know what it is about this layout, I just really enjoyed it. I think it saves a lot of space but also allows you space to plan as much as you need to, which I've really enjoyed. Here's the final flip through for December of this simple pencil cactus theme. I had a lot of fun making this, and I think it will be fun to use and add in a little more doodles here and there as I feel like, and I really just enjoyed the simplicity of being able to doodle whatever came to mind. Also, here's that last page I mentioned earlier. And this is actually the first bullet journal that I have used every single page in. I would usually switch notebooks partway through the year, but this year I used one notebook for everything. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and if you made it all the way to this part of the video, here is a little sneak peek of some things that I have planned for 2023. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up.